1964, Cassius Clay defeated Sonny Liston to become the heavyweight champion of the world. Immediately after the fight, he announced that he had changed his name to Muhammad Ali and joined the Nation of Islam, a radical Muslim group associated with outspoken black nationalist leader Malcolm X. 2 years later, Ali headed back to Britain for a title defense against Henry Cooper. Cooper had knocked down Ali in 1963. But when the American returned 3 years later with trainer Angelo Dundee, he had become a major celebrity.
When we first came to England, the first fight, we could walk the streets, nobody bothers us. But when he came back, he had got to be a controversial figure. We couldn't move.
This fight captured the imagination of the boxing public. The self-proclaimed greatest in a 15-round rematch with the best of British. The excitement even reached Henry Cooper's suburban home and his 5-year-old son, Henry Marco.
You know, when this fight was going on, I was looking out the window, and you see all these people outside. That was really exciting. It made you realise that something special was going on, and Dad just wasn't your dad. Dad was a famous, sportsman.
But Henry Cooper's Italian wife, Albina, was no fan of his profession.
Mum hated boxing. In '66, Dad was quite keen for Mum to see the fight, and Mum really didn't want to go, but she went.
What made you decide to go and see this particular fight?
Because Henry's asked me to. He's never asked me before to go to see any of his fights, and I don't think I should let him down this time.
The fight was staged at Arsenal's Highbury football ground in front of a sellout audience of 40,000 boxing fans.
The atmosphere had been whipped up to almost sort of frenzied proportions.
And here is Ali praying in his corner before he comes out for round one.
Henry was boxing quite well, but it was very clear that the longer it went, the more Ali was getting into the ascendancy.
Cooper well short.
It was the fastest heavyweight there'd ever been, and Henry couldn't catch him.
Cooper couldn't get close to Ali, but the world heavyweight champion was landing his blows, to the dismay of Henry's wife in the crowd.
There's actually photos of Mum sort of with her head just buried in her hand. She hardly watched any of it.
In round 6, Ali finally inflicted the same damage on Cooper's face that had ended the fight 3 years earlier.
Yes, Henry Cooper's left eye is badly cut.
A fountain of blood shot up in the air and cascaded over Henry's head and shoulders, and he was literally covered in blood. And I shall never forget the look of horror on Ali's face at what he'd done. But that lasted a split second. Being the great pro that he was, he immediately started jabbing away at Cooper's injury to try and make it worse.
I'm afraid it's a very bad cut. So it's all over. The great disappointment for Henry Cooper.
Dad was in his changing room getting his eyes sorted. There was a knock at the door, and Ali walked in and just came up and shook Dad's hands and said, "I'm sorry the fight had to end that way." And Dad said to him, "Well, don't worry," he said, "that's just the nature of the game."
The following day, Ali headed down to a London television studio to launch a new charm offensive.
The British love affair with Ali began in 1966, after the second Cooper fight.
Ali appeared as a guest on the Eamon Andrews Show, alongside Noel Coward, Dudley Moore, and Lucille Ball.
That was the first time the British public realised he wasn't a boastful, ugly American.
I hate the sight of blood. It's not my nature to just hurt a man once I see blood gushing from his head like that. So
but it certainly was gushing, wasn't
it?
Did you ask the referee to stop it?
I mentioned it, yes, but he paid no attention.
He was a very pretty American with an immense amount of charisma.
Muhammad, you haven't got a mark on you.
Hit and run away and live to fight another day.
In this country, we got to love him quickly, and we kind of saw the irony in him, and all became huge fans of his.
In America, of course, people still used to refer to him as Clay, which, of course, he didn't like. I think the British press were the first to recognise his change of name and officially call him Ali.
Does it annoy you when people forget and call you Cassius?
In the States and many places, they seem to be looking for trouble, you know. How you doing, Cassius, old boy? How you feeling? You know my name, fella. Well, I'm Mr. Ali, I'm sorry. But
Let's have a word about the fight last night, Cassius.
Muhammad.
Muhammad, I'm sorry. I didn't do that
Absolutely mesmerised by him. The only autograph I've ever asked for and got was his, and I've got it in a frame at home, and I'm very proud of it. And I really got to like the man a great deal, almost love him. I mean, he's a fantastic guy.
Ali had won over the British press and the public. Next, he had to beat another British boxer. In August 1966, he was to take on Brian London, nicknamed the Blackpool Rock.
Well, I'm at Fontaine's holiday camp in Blackpool. Not as a happy camper, you understand, but to watch Brian London of Blackpool prepare for the greatest fight of his life.
No, it was a big build-up. They thought they had a chance, but they made a mistake, didn't they?
Brian London was a goodish heavyweight. I mean, he was a very strong, physically powerful man, but he didn't have anything like the kind of skill that could cope with Ali at the time.
He was big, he was fast, and he could punch. And I was smaller, fatter, and couldn't punch. Stopped me in 3 rounds, and that was it. I don't think I hit him. It was good money, and I got well paid for it. That's all I fought for. Every fight I've ever had, I've always had a go. But with Muhammad Ali, I thought, don't get hurt, Brian. I didn't try, which was wrong, totally wrong. I wish I could live my life again.
After retaining his title against Brian London, Ali returned to America, where his Islamic faith triggered a major political storm.
He defied the American government by refusing the draft. He refused to go into the US military because he was against the Vietnam War. And of course he was hated in the United States.
Ali was convicted of draft evasion and faced 5 years in prison. The New York State Athletic Commission suspended his boxing license and stripped him of the title on the day of his arrest.
Most countries of the world recognised that the title was vacant except one, and that was Britain. The British Boxing Board of Control regarded him as still the heavyweight champion of the world until he was beaten in the ring. And Ali never forgot that. That's why he had such an affinity with the British people and with this country.
Ali was banned from overseas travel while he appealed against his conviction. So British journalists flew out to the States to speak to him.
I was reading a piece in England just before I came over which described you as the former heavyweight champion of the world. But is that a description you'd accept?
I beat the best that England had to offer, Germany, Canada, and America. Undefeated in all of my professional fights, unscratched and unmarked by a human. So I pay no attention to a few cigar-smoking, dried-up people, you know. My title was taken because of my religion.
Back in Britain, a young bare-knuckle boxer called Paddy Moynihan was outraged by the actions of the US boxing authorities.
It's a great injustice. He's standing up for what he believes in. That's got nothing to do with boxing. So I said, something's got to be done about it. What can be done? What can I do? Then all of a sudden, I thought, petition. I ended up in 3.5 years with 22,224 names and addresses, which I took to the United States Embassy in London.
In 1971, the US Supreme Court rejected the charges against Ali on a legal technicality. He was free to return to Britain.
He made contact, thanking me for what I've been doing. Keep up the good work. I'll see you next time I'm in London. Muhammad Ali.
Later that year, Ali headed over to Britain to promote Ovaltine.
I never realized how many people I had following me, mainly old women and old men. Excuse me, I drink some Ovaltine. And I always have them over. How do you mix it?
While he was in the country, he got together with Paddy Moynihan.
We met up in the hotel. We were laughing and joking together, got on well together. We gelled. We liked each other. In the end, he turned around, he says to me, he says, Paddy, what is Ovaltine?
This was the beginning of a long friendship. Over the years that followed, Ali regularly visited Paddy's home in Abingdon in Oxfordshire. Here, family home movie footage captured the times the most famous man in the world called in on this otherwise ordinary estate.
He's been down this street so many times, I've lost count. He used to stand outside that front door and he used to do magic tricks for the kids. And then we'd go inside and we'd have our own personal private visits. Me and him, we'd be playing around right there, sparring in the middle of the road, laughing, joking about the air. Memories I'll always treasure. I miss the guy. The greatest person I've ever met. I'm talking about him as a man, as a friend. Not the fame, not the boxing. As a friend. That's all.
Coming up, Yorkshire's finest winds up the world champ.
Every dog got to hurt itself, Ray.
I'm sat here with the greatest fighter in the world, and he's getting upset, and I'm not.
And Ali springs into action at a Tyneside boys' club.
He shook my hand and he knew he was in for it. And he backed off. That's what I like about that.